Thank you everyone for joining this Commvault training class. Many of you know me professionally, some of you know me personally as well. I really feel it's a privilege to have you all part of this class. I'll do my best to make this of good value to you all. Uh, I have no personal agenda or selfish interest here. I just hope that you can use this learning for your professional benefit. If this helps you to land a job or to enhance your career or to be of value to your customer, I'll be more than happy. Okay. Having said that, if there is an opportunity for us to work together professionally, you're welcome to be associated with me and my company. Okay. These classes will be recorded, and for Parama internal employees, you can access it through your SharePoint. For people who are joining in from outside, this recording will be uploaded in YouTube in my channel, and you will be able to access that post this class. Okay. Well, what is the need for us to have this training? Why is it relevant to all of us? So I will start with that and then slowly move towards Commvault as the platform that we want to learn and discuss. Okay. So for that, I'll share my screen and we'll take it one at a time. If you have any doubts or if you feel that I'm going fast, you want me to slow down, please feel free to stop me and I'll be more than happy to take your question and answer it. You can also put up your questions in the chat window, and as and when we go through these classes, I will keep answering them. If not immediately, then in the subsequent class. As we move from concepts to more practical, sessions, I will show you the GUI and the Commvault software itself, how it works, how you can install it, uh, how you can configure it, so on and so forth. And we will also show you how to use the software. So we will give you a downloadable copy. Okay. And you can install VMware Workstation on your laptops and use it as well. Okay. So we'll guide you through that entire process. So kindly be patient and bear with us and hope you find value in these trainings. Sharing my screen now. Hope you're all able to see my screen. So we'll start with this, right? Why are we talking about Commvault today and why is it relevant? So this is a website which is publicly accessible, right? It's called informationisbeautiful.net. And there they try to report, okay, the various data breaches and hacks that have happened across the world, okay, and what has been the impact of it. And you can see here that many notable names are part of this, okay, and these are only the ones that have been reported. Okay, there are so many that go unreported as well, right? People don't want to even talk about it, right? So it's a real threat. What we are seeing today, the digital world, it's under threat. It's not a question of whether you will be hacked or not. It's only a question of when are you going to be hacked. Okay, so that persistent question remains, right? So how do these hackers actually do this, right? So there is an entire community dedicated to understanding the behavior of hackers, okay, and that's been captured under this called as the MITRE attack framework. MITRE MITRE attack framework. Okay, this is a registered trademark. And if you see this is a very detailed information that has been put across here. There are so many stages that an attacker goes through before they actually launch an attack. I have a more simplified diagram for you, which is this, right? So if you see this MITRE ATT&CK framework reading from left to right on the screen, right? So what the attackers try to do is first through a email link or a link on your phone, like on a WhatsApp message or SMS, they will send out a link for you, right? So that will be the initial access. After the initial access, they execute, they put their command and control as it's called, okay? And they keep on persisting. They try to keep finding the passwords, the passcodes, okay? And they try to make themselves, after getting the password or the passcode, they try to make themselves as the administrators of that particular machine so that they have full access and control to that machine. And then, in order to avoid detection, they will clear the command history. They will clear all traces that they were actually there. They came in through, which network, which IP address, all that. And once they get in and they get full control of one device in the network, they go and try to scan across the network, whether it's your home Wi-Fi, whether it's your corporate network, doesn't matter. Okay. They go and try to scan all the devices that they can get access to. It could be a printer, it could be a scanner, it could be another server, it could be storage, it could be any part of the infrastructure. Okay, doesn't matter. They will go and try to scan everything that they can lay their hands upon. And that is when they try to spread into the network. Okay, and after they spread into the network, they start collecting data. They start exfiltrating that data. So after they collect that data, they send it to dark web for it to be sold to the highest bidder. And it doesn't matter for them what that data is. It could be your personal information, it could be your credit card information, it could be your videos, your photos. As long as they can make money out of it, they will just use it. Okay. Some people deliberately use it to even sabotage the reputation of certain companies or certain people. Okay. So all of these are techniques which are well documented, and they are used by attackers, and this has all been created under a framework called as the MITRE ATT&CK framework. Okay. Why this is useful? When you're talking to customers, you should be talking the same language which the customer security team can understand. And they understand this framework, they understand the terminology that is used as a part of this framework. Hence, knowing and understanding this framework, especially for cyber recovery, is extremely important. Okay, so this is the first thing that you should be learning. Then, uh, when you go and look at the various attacks that have happened recently, okay, what the attackers are understanding and they have understood very well is everybody has backup of their data, right? So be it a large corporate, be it an individual, all of us backup our data, right? And they have seen that many a times, even after they have attacked a particular person's machine or a particular customer's environment IT infrastructure, the simple thing that the consumer or the user can do is wipe out everything on that particular machine and recover from a stored backup. Okay, that's a very simple thing to do. We all do it, time and again. We back up our laptops, we back up our phones. Okay. So attackers have learned this. And hence, what they're doing now is they are first going and attacking your backup infrastructure, your backup copies of data. Okay. So that once they launch a full-fledged attack, there is no way to go. Okay. For the user, your backup copy is also compromised and attacked. It's full of malware. Your production data and your main data is also under attack. Okay. So you have no other option but to pay the ransom. Okay. And this is what is happening worldwide now. All right. And that is where the good guys, the guys like us, right, who want to do good for other people. That is where we come in, all right? And what are we interested to do? We are the people who are going to help the customers and the end users come out of this situation without having to pay a ransom. Because if you're paying a ransom, then there's no point, right? That means you have already been extorted. So the the value that you would be creating to your customers, to your near and dears are is that if you are able to recover them, their machine, their last known good copy of the data without having to pay the ransom, okay, that's where you are going to create a value. Okay, so we are the good guys who are fighting the bad guys day in and day out, and our job is to make sure that we are able to recover the data for our customers without them having to pay the ransom. Okay, and that is where Commvault as a company comes into picture. Okay, now did Commvault have this mechanism from day one? No, they didn't. Commvault, when it started, as you can see here in their Wikipedia, in 1988, I was just 8 years old, okay, when this company launched. Okay, were they into this cyber recovery thing from day one? No. Commvault as a company, it formed from within AT&T Labs, okay, and it was primarily to back up certain servers inside AT&T Labs and help them to recover from database corruption, accidental deletion of files and data, okay, hardware failures and things like that. Okay, but the world has changed. Okay, the world has changed, and as I've said before, uh, the hackers are attacking the backup infrastructure first, like Commvault infrastructure first. And hence, not just Commvault, but many other companies like Commvault, be it Veritas, be it Dhruva, be it Veeam, be it Rubrik, be it Cohesity, be it HiQ, all these companies have made a subtle change in the approach in their technology towards IT. Okay. And what they have done is they have started including, cyber recovery related technologies and concepts within their software offering and within their technology offering. And we can see that happening. And why I'm showing you this chart of stock price of Commvault is this. If you see, for many, many years, Commvault used to be traded under $100. Okay. But post COVID, as things changed, as cyber attacks increased, we all went digital. And then Commvault as a company transformed from being just a backup recovery company to a cyber recovery and a cyber resilience company. See how much the stock price has jumped. Okay. From under $100, like about 70 to $80 per share, within just 1 year, it reached almost 150 to $160 a share. And at one point in time, it was even competing with the share price of Amazon. Okay. And there are people who are telling that Commvault and similar companies are actually going to beat the share price of Amazon. And that was very, very encouraging. And that's primarily because the way they shifted their technology offering from being just a backup recovery software company to a cyber recovery and a cyber resilience company. Now, how they did it, what is the underlying mechanism they have started using to enable these things, that is what we are going to learn. Okay, and that's the core agenda of our training. But in order to get there, in order to understand, okay, how Commvault and similar companies like Commvault transformed from being just a backup recovery company to a cyber recovery and a cyber resiliency company, you need to understand the foundation. You need to understand what are the critical components of Commvault, how are they interlinked to each other, what is their functionality. And once you have understood that very clearly, then adding the cyber recovery components and the cyber resiliency components on top of it becomes a much easier thing to do. Okay, so that's how we will progress our training. We will first learn the basics of Commvault. We will understand what it takes to build a simple infrastructure of Commvault and scale it to a complex, infrastructure. And then how the cyber recovery and the cyber resiliency elements of it are going to be incorporated into the core and the base components of Commvault. Okay. That's where we move to the next section, which is this. Okay. Any questions until now? None? Okay. So these are the main building blocks of Commvault. Okay. So you see there are these three gray color boxes which look like servers. I will explain what they are in a little while. Okay. And you see that they are interconnected with each other. And then you have these various functions that you can do with these three servers or three boxes, right? So you can do your administration jobs, which is doing all the configuration, doing all the installation, deletion and all that. Okay, then actual protection of your data. So here, since we are talking about data center related workloads, so you will have your Windows servers, you will have your Linux servers, you'll have your virtual environments, you'll have databases. Okay, all of these things. And then you'll need some space to store your backup data, right? So many different kinds of storage components are attached to a typical backup infrastructure. So you will have your storage attached to it. And then how you access what has been backed up. Okay, how you can start recovering your data once it has been backed up. So that is also something we will see how to do it. All right. Okay, now getting into a little bit more detail. So we'll just zoom into it. These three boxes. Okay, I know it's a little blurry, but kindly bear with me. So the box that you see on the right, which is marked in green and given the name CS, okay, that's called a COM server. Okay. Hello, any question? No? Okay. So this is called a CS, a COM server. That is nothing but a master server or the brain of this entire Commvault software. Okay. So this is the guy, okay, who manages or controls all the operations. Okay. It keeps a note of everything, like how many machines are there in the environment, what are you backing up, when are you backing up, okay, till what time should that backup be kept in the system. Okay, all those things are maintained by this master server called as the ComServe. Okay, then comes this guy on the left hand side, the MA. Okay, MA stands for media agent. Okay, this is nothing but another software component which does most of the heavy lifting. So this guy is the Bahubali. So this CS is like the Chanakya. Okay, all the brain, all the intelligence comes from this guy. Okay, the ComServe. Whereas all the heavy lifting, the Bahubali is the MA. Okay, the media agent. Why I am calling it the Bahubali is because this is the software component which is going to do all the reading of your data that needs to be protected from all these machines. Okay, your Linux machine, your Windows machine, your Exchange server, your databases. Okay, for that, you need to install an agent on these machines. And that agent is called as the client, what you see in yellow here. Okay. It's a small software component, but it's a very powerful one. That is what is installed on all of these machines. And that is the one which reads the data from the source, as we call it. Okay. And it writes that data through this MA media agent onto the storage of your choice. Okay. The storage could be a disk storage, it could be a SAN, it could be NAS, it could be tape storage, it could be object storage, it could be cloud storage. Okay. It it supports everything. All right. And while it is sending the actual data from this source machines to the storage through this Bahubali, the MA, it is also sending some intelligent data called as the metadata to your master server, to Chanakya. Okay. So one side it is asking Bahubali to do all the heavy lifting, and the other side it is also sending some small packets of information to Chanakya saying that, boss, this is what I have sent to this guy. You please keep a note of it. Okay. So that this ComServe is able to maintain that journal of all the information that is being backed up. Okay. And this guy, Chanakya, does not leave this Bahubali alone. Okay. It controls this guy also. Okay. The media agent also. So when the media agent should back up the data, okay, in how much chunks should it back up? How many parallel backups can it run together? Okay. At what speed it should do? All those things are again controlled by this guy, the master server or the ComServe. Okay. And it is giving all this control information to the media agent. And in return, the media agent is acknowledging all of that and giving back the respective information to the master server or the ComServe to keep it stored in a journal. Now, what is this journal? This journal is called as the index. Okay. So this index is something which is stored inside the master server. There is a backend database. There are multiple databases, of course, in Commvault. We will talk about them as and when we go along. Okay. But I'm just giving you a high level view right now. And that information is what is going to be visible to you as an end user, as an administrator, to later see what has been backed up, when it has been backed up, when it has been protected, and how can you restore it or recover it whenever you need it. Okay. So these are the main three, players or components for Commvault. Okay. Once again, master server, which is the brain, media agent, which is the heavy lifter, and the client. Okay. Which is like the agent. Okay, which gets all the information from all the sources. Okay. And all three of them should be communicating to each other on the network for a successful backup to happen. Okay. And also for a successful recovery to happen. Okay. All these three components should be talking to each other for this to happen. Now, in a small environment where the number of machines are just few, like 10 machines, 15 machines, 20, maybe 50 also, this MA or media agent and this master server, com server, can be on the same machine. Okay. You need not install it on, separate machines. Okay. One machine, a little bit decent, powerful one is enough. And that t-shirt sizing is also there. Okay. It's already documented. and you can refer to that documentation. So let me show you that. So all Commvault documentation is mentioned in this particular website called docs.commvault.com. Okay, it's a public facing document. Only certain deep level topics you need a login. Okay, but most of the information is available for anybody to read and consume. Okay, now if you see here, what is the system requirements for the master server? Firstly, what all operating systems and editions does it support? So as you can see, you can install it on multiple different editions right from 2016 all the way till 2025. Okay, all types of Windows editions are supported. Now when you look at the hardware requirement, it says the software only needs 10 GB of data, but there is a backend Microsoft SQL server that gets installed. Okay, and for that you need additional hardware. Okay, you need additional hardware resources. So Microsoft SQL Server 2022 gets installed by default. Okay, with the latest versions of Commvault. And there are certain requirements from a user authentication .NET framework standpoint. Okay, so all these are clearly mentioned here. Okay, and if you want to see further details on more additional hardware resources that are required, so you can see here. Okay, so the t-shirt sizes are given: small, medium, large, extra large, and double XL. You can see the number of cores required, the amount of RAM, the amount of disk space required for operating system, the amount of disk space required for that indexing and metadata that I spoke about. Okay, and the amount of storage capacity that a single machine can support. Okay, is written here. And there are certain parameters here in terms of how many machines or parallel machines it supports from a backup standpoint. So that is also kind of mentioned here. Okay, any questions until now here? Okay, so let's move forward. Okay, now we are getting into a little bit more detail on what and all the Commvault software components are doing. Okay, so firstly, we start from the bottom layer. Okay, storage. So as I told you earlier, the storage layer is where the backup data is actually getting stored. But while it is getting stored, what is happening? There are few things that are happening. The first thing that is happening is deduplication, especially when you're storing it to a non-tape media. Okay, so you can broadly classify your storage media into two types. One is tape and one is non-tape. Okay, tape, as you know, is a very old kind of a storage medium, and deduplication as a concept is not supported on tapes. Okay, only tape level compression. Whenever you're inserting tapes into tape drives, those tape drives support certain level of hardware compression. Only that compression is supported when you're using tape as a storage medium. Okay, apart from that, no other space saving is something that you can expect from tapes, right? But when you're using a non-tape medium, be it a disk or cloud storage or object storage, you get, apart from compression, you get an additional space saving mechanism called as deduplication. Okay. So later we will get into deeper concept about what exactly is deduplication, how it allows us to, save space. We will understand that later. But as the name itself suggests, deduplication means eliminate duplicates and store only unique data fragments. Okay. So that is another service that is running while you're storing the data. Then you can also create snapshots, especially for non-tape medium, so that these storage devices are also protected from any kinds of failures. And you can also implement something called as tiering mechanism. Okay. What is meant by tiering? You can keep the hot data or most accessed data in a faster layer. Obviously, it is going to be expensive. And the least access data in a low cost but slow medium. Okay. And that is called as archiving. All right. So for example, your KYC documents when you submit to a bank, right? While your application is being processed, it is hot data and it will stay in the faster disks. But after all that is done, it moves to a cold layer or a slow layer. Okay. So it essentially gets archived, right? So that's what is mentioned here. So all these storage level services are also something that are happening simultaneously while you're performing your backups. Okay. So how they happen, how you can see it happening through the GUI, we will all see this later. Okay. You can also achieve with Commvault something called as disaster recovery also. Okay. Now, what is disaster recovery? If one site fails, that means flooding has happened, earthquake has happened, or there's a huge power cut, all the data that was stored and backed up in that one data center is not accessible anymore. And you want a copy of this data in another data center, okay, exact copy, you have to set up something called as disaster recovery. Okay. So the primary two technologies that are used in disaster recovery are mirroring and vaulting. Okay. So what is mirroring? Mirroring means exact copy. As in when you write something here, you write somewhere else also. That's called as mirroring. And vaulting means you put some gap to writing to the other site. Okay. And you can put some gap with respect to time. Okay. And you can say after certain time, you write it to the secondary site or the DR site. Okay. In general, this is called as replication. Okay. So in Commvault, you can do backup within the data center, plus you can do replication to other data centers, both using the same software. Okay. How it compares to storage level application, we will talk about it later. But the same software has both these, mechanisms in place. One is plain vanilla backup for recovery within the site and copying to another site for disaster recovery as well. Okay. Any questions on this part? What is happening when you're storing the data? We'll get into more details, but this is just at a very high level. No questions? Okay. Now we move to the next layer above the storage layer. This is called as the index. Okay. Index layer. So what is happening here? First of all, the metadata is getting indexed. Now, what exactly is metadata? Data about data is called as metadata. As I was showing you earlier, this guy, the ComServe, what this guy is doing, this guy is the brain, right? Okay, this guy, the ComServe, he's the brain of this entire thing. So this brain is storing all the information, right? What you did, when you did, okay, how frequently are you doing, whether you will do it again or not. Okay, so all that forms the metadata. Your actual data is your bank transaction, okay, your KYC information, your personal information on your phone, all that is the actual data. But data about data means when did you write this data? Who wrote this data? When are you using this data? When will you use it again? Okay, all that is metadata. Now, that metadata is being stored separately, okay, and that is being indexed, and it's called metadata index, okay. And Commvault also does some amount of data classification, okay. And what do we mean by data classification is it tries to understand the content of the data also. Whether your data is an Excel file, whether it's a PDF document, whether it's a Word document, whether it's a database file, whether it's a log file, whether it's a VM related file. So it will try to understand the content, and it will go inside that file also and try to understand what is written inside. Like, do you have any sensitive information like credit card information, like Aadhaar card information, PAN card information, any financial records, okay, like invoices, purchase orders, or things like that, okay, sensitive information. So all that information is also something that Commvault can optionally store, not mandatory or not compulsory, okay, it's optional. And that is called as a content index. That means trying to understand what is inside your file, okay, so that it can classify the data as to what is sensitive data and what is not non-sensitive data, okay. So that you can search it, so that you can use it later, right? So this is the two types of indexes which Commvault maintains. One is metadata, which is data about the data, and the second one is content index, which is data about what's inside the files, okay. So these are the two kinds of indexes which Commvault stores. Then comes the security layer, okay. Now, why are we all, getting into this training? Why are we all learning about it? Is we want to secure our data. We want to make sure that even if we get attacked, we are able to recover. Okay, all these things, right? So, what are those mechanisms that are there from a security perspective that forms the security layer? Okay, so first is access. Who can access it? When can they access? What level of authorization do they have? What all security mechanisms you can integrate it with? Like, can you integrate it with SAML authentication? Can you integrate it with Active Directory? Can you have role-based access control? Okay, all those sort of things are something that you can configure and you can define as per customer's environment, okay. And that is what is coming under this access umbrella, okay. Then comes comply. Now, all of us know that many of our customers fall into certain industry segments, right? So somebody is in the banking segment, somebody is in the insurance segment, somebody is in healthcare, somebody is in IT, okay, somebody is in manufacturing. Now, each of these industries, each of these companies, there are certain laws, there are certain compliances, both within the country and outside the country, that they have to adhere with. Okay. And if they do not comply, there are huge amount of penalties in terms of fines and loss of reputation that they have to bear with. And hence, there are mechanisms in place within Commvault, which allow you to get complied to these industry regulations and standards. Okay. For example, if it's a bank has to be complied with RBI regulations. Bank has to be complied with Sarbanes-Oxley if it's an international bank. If they are storing credit card information, they have to be compliant to PCI DSS, which is Payment Card Industry Data Safety and Security Standards. Okay, like that. If it's a healthcare customer, they have to be compliant to HIPAA. Okay. Now in India, there's a new compliance coming in called DPDP. Everybody has to be compliant with it. Okay. So this particular segment of the security layer helps the IT teams of an organization be compliant with these industry laws and regulations. So how they do it, we will learn it later, but those mechanisms are in place. Okay. And then comes sharing. So since this storage layer forms the central repository of the data of your entire data center, okay, then obviously it is like a vault, right? Now, when you have all the data at a single place like this, it becomes easier to share it with end users and between departments and things like that. So, all those mechanisms which allow you to collaborate and securely share data between users. So, those mechanisms are also available within Commvault, and that form the share component of the security layer, because sharing also has to be done securely. Okay, you just cannot allow anybody to share everything and anything to everyone, right? So there has to be certain controls in place. So those kinds of controls can be implemented in Commvault. Okay, so all of you have understood this. Any questions? Any doubts? Okay, no, no questions. Am I going too fast? Okay, now we start getting into little bit more details on each of these components. Okay. So as I told you, the brain of this entire Commvault software is called ComServe, and this is its role. It coordinates all the activity in the environment. So all Commvault environments are identified by a unique ID, and it's called as a ComCell ID. Okay. So whenever you're raising any support ticket with Commvault, the first thing that they will ask is what is your ComCell ID? Okay. It's nothing but a logical identification given to an entire Commvault environment, starting with the master server called as the ComServe. Okay. And as we have seen in the Commvault documentation, there is this database, which is nothing but Microsoft SQL database, that gets installed along with the Commvault software. No need to purchase a separate license for this. Whenever you are paying cost to Commvault for Commvault licenses, the Microsoft SQL license entitlement comes along with it. Okay, so as a customer, you don't need to pay separately for the Microsoft SQL database license. Okay, it comes along with it. Now in the latest versions of Commvault, along with Microsoft SQL, even MongoDB is also getting installed in the backend. Okay, so why, we will understand a little later. Then comes our heavy lifting guy, the media agent. Many people also call it the data mover, because this is the one which moves the bulk of data. Okay, so where does it move and where does it move to? So it reads data from the source and it writes that data to the target. What is the source? The source are called as clients. So you install this software component called client agent on the operating system. If it is a application like a database or exchange, then you will install that specific agent of Commvault. Now, how do you know what and all software it supports and how many types of agents are there? That is also there in the documentation. Okay. So under this documentation site, if you see on the left hand side menu, you have this option called backup and restore agents. When you click on it, you see you have application aware agents, backup agents, cloud, databases, exchange, Kubernetes, virtualization. So I'll just give you a sneak peek into these. We will get into details later. So if you look at backup agents, you have agent for Active Directory, Gluster, Hadoop, IBM, Lustre file system for Mac systems, SharePoint, and all kinds of Windows systems. And if you have a NAS, then NDMP and NAS, then Nutanix, Unix file systems. Okay. If you want to see application, then one second. Here, yeah. So you have under databases DB2, then you have MariaDB, Microsoft SQL Server, MySQL, Oracle, different configurations of Oracle, Postgre, SAP. Under SAP, you have normal SAP and SAP HANA. Then different kinds of exchange databases. Okay, so like that. Under virtualization, VMware, OHV, Unix, all these are supported. Okay, so complete list is there. So as and when we get into details, we will understand this. Okay. Similarly, there is a list for all the different kinds of storages that Commvault supports. Okay. And we will see that list also in our subsequent classes. Okay. And as we have understood a little while earlier during the beginning of the class, while this data is being read from the source and through the media agent when it is being written to the backend storage, the metadata is being stored in the backend database, the SQL, and the index cache, which is residing on this ComServe machine. Okay. And if the environment is small, ComServe and media agent together can be installed on the same machine. If the environment is large, then obviously you will separate it. Okay. Unlike many other backup softwares, there is no separate license for media agent. Okay. Under a single ComServe, you can have any number of media agents and any number of clients. Okay. And any amount of storage also. Okay. There is no restriction in Commvault from a licensing standpoint. Okay. As long as the operating system is supporting, as long as you have enough hardware resources in the environment, there is practically no limit to the number of media agents and the clients that you can install in a given Commvault environment. Okay. Hence, Commvault had become very, very popular because of its very flexible licensing schemes. Okay. So today I would like to pause here and ask all of you if you have any questions.
Nothing from me.
Thanks, Praveen.
Nothing from me too.
Thanks, Ratnakant. So, just to let everyone know, we have a varied representation here. We have people with just less than 1 year experience all the way to people who have more than 20 years of experience. And we have people from almost every part of the country. We have people from east, we have people from south, we have people from west, we have people from north. So really privileged to have you all here with me today, and hopefully you will continue your participation in the subsequent classes, and it will keep getting deeper and deeper, and it will keep getting more exciting as we get into the practicals of it, okay, where we actually see the software working and how to configure it, okay. So that's it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We'll meet again tomorrow, same time. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Thanks, Sudipta. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Bye. Good night.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.